Hey everyone, and welcome to another Explainer. Today, we're taking a uniquely nostalgic trip down memory lane to decode some everyday conversational English. We're going to look at the classic story of Brother Bear getting a new teacher, Miss Barely, and use it as a sort of masterclass in natural phrasing. We're focusing on 5 specific, incredibly useful sentences today. She looks a little grumpy. Miss Barely makes learning fun. The school year goes by fast. It is time for a break. And she is a big softy. Whether you're a native speaker analyzing the mechanics of idioms or a language learner wanting to sound more natural, stories are literally the ultimate tool for retention. So by looking at how these characters interact, we're going to extract perfectly natural phrases you can start using today.
All right, here's our roadmap for the day. We're going to cover judging appearances, the experience, time flies, pausing, and finally, the reveal. Let's get into it. Section 1, Judging Appearances. A little grumpy.
So, right at the beginning of the school year, Brother Bear walks into his new classroom. And well, his very first impression of his new teacher, Miss Barely, isn't exactly warm and fuzzy. He takes one look at her and thinks, she looks a little grumpy. And honestly, you can't blame him. During roll call, she sternly questions his name. She wants to know why he doesn't have a standard name like Bill or Joe. When he tells her he's just brother, she gives him this super strict, Talk about an intimidating first interaction.
Now, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding exactly what grumpy means in this context. It describes someone who's easily annoyed, maybe complaining a bit, or just generally in a bad mood. But what's important to remember is that it usually describes a temporary negative emotion, or just a strict outward appearance. It definitely doesn't mean the person is inherently bad or mean, they just seem kind of unapproachable in that specific moment. To bridge this from the Berenstain Bears to the real world, think about totally relatable everyday scenarios. We all know someone who looks a little grumpy before their morning coffee, right? Or maybe you feel grumpy when you have to wake up way too early, when you're stuck in awful traffic, or, this is a big one, when you're really hungry. It's just a fantastic, highly descriptive conversational word. Moving on to section 2, the experience, making learning fun. As the story progresses, we totally shift away from that strict first impression. The text tells us Miss Barely makes learning fun. And this is the real turning point of the whole story. The Cubs realize that, yeah, she's tough, she hands out plenty of homework and tests, but she also knows a ton about history, science, dinosaurs, and outer space. They realize she's actually an amazing teacher because she actively changes the experience of being in class. It's really fascinating to see exactly how she turns difficult subjects into hands-on, memorable events. When teaching about the moon and planets, she doesn't just read from a boring textbook. Nope, she organizes a nighttime school visit to actually look at the craters. To teach about the past, they take a field trip to an old watermill where the Cubs pull ropes to see these massive wheels turning. And for today's world, she brings in a friend from the Bear Air Force to show off some really noisy airplane tools. She doesn't just teach, she creates a whole experience. This brings us to a massively useful sentence structure you can use all the time. Makes blank fun. Now, the literal meaning of learning is just doing educational tasks, but the conversational phrasing here implies turning something that's potentially super boring into an enjoyable experience. You can drop almost any activity into this structure. You could say, my friend makes grocery shopping fun, or my manager makes working late fun. It's just a great way to compliment someone's positive energy. All right, section 3, time flies, the school year. Because Miss Barely uses all these incredible teaching methods, it completely alters the student's perception of time. The book literally says, the school year goes by fast. After all those night classes and field trips, the Cubs suddenly look around and realize, wow, the year's already coming to an end. Think about how action-packed this year was for the Cubs. They started out meeting Ms. Barely, immediately jumped into the nighttime moon activity, followed that with the daytime watermill trip, and then had the Air Force guest speaker. And just like that, they're at the end of the year. When your days are packed with engaging, fun activities, your brain just doesn't track the slow ticking of the clock. So the literal meaning here is simply that time moved quickly on the calendar. But the broader conversational equivalent, and this is a very famous English idiom you absolutely need to know, is time flies when you're having fun. You can say something goes by fast whenever you experience a great event that just seems to end way too quickly. A great vacation goes by fast. A wonderful dinner party goes by fast. It's pretty much the ultimate compliment to a good time. Section 4. Pausing. Time for a break. Even when you're having the time of your life, engaging in nonstop activities totally takes a toll on you. Eventually, you just need to rest. The story tells us it is time for a break. The Cubs will be back soon. They've worked hard, they've taken lots of tests, and now they desperately need a scheduled pause before they jump back in. I want to make sure you have the exact definition of this context totally locked in. In English, the verb to break can mean to shatter something, like a glass. But here, as a noun, a break is a temporary pause from work, school, or any strenuous activity in order to rest. It's a vital, restorative period of time. You can use this exact sentence, "It is time for a break," literally every day. Say it after you've been studying for hours straight. Say it to your family during a long road trip when everyone needs to stretch their legs. Say it to your colleagues when you're feeling fried at work, or even just to yourself in the middle of cleaning your house. It's one of the most universally understood ways to announce that you are temporarily hitting pause.
And finally, Section 5, the reveal. A big softy.
Now we've arrived at the emotional climax of the story, and truly the climax of our whole linguistic journey today. The class knows Miss Barely is a fantastic teacher, and they want her to know it too. So they make her this giant card that says, "We love our teacher." As she reads it, a little tear forms in her eye, and then the narrator drops this fantastic phrase, "She is a big softy." This is hands down one of the absolute best idioms in conversational English. A big softy is someone who appears tough, strict, or maybe a little intimidating on the outside, but is actually deeply kind, easily moved to emotion, and caring on the inside. It's this incredibly affectionate term native speakers use to describe authoritative figures who actually just have a heart of gold.
Let's pull it all together now and look at this beautiful contrast. We started the story with Brother Bear thinking she looks a little grumpy. She gave lots of tests. She seemed super tough. But the final reality? She gets a tear in her eye over a handmade card from her students. She's a big softy. It just perfectly demonstrates how our vocabulary shifts as our understanding of a person deepens.
So, I want to leave you with a quick question to think about as we wrap up this explainer. Who is a big softy in your own life? Think about a boss, maybe a former teacher, or even a gruff family member who fits this exact description. Get that person in your head and try using your new vocabulary today to describe them. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through everyday English phrasing. Keep practicing, keep connecting these phrases to your real life, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.